morning. When I was younger, there was a gentleman who hosted a young people's ministry called The Shack. And we got to go to this old garage that he had converted into a space for young people to have some fun, but also to learn about God and to grow in their faith. And I remember one time when I was there, he brought out a candle. And he was teaching about being set on fire for God. You know, allowing the fire of the Holy Spirit to work within us, to spread to others, that type of thing. And we were sitting there watching as he lit this match. And he lit the candle. And he looked at us and he said, you know, I want you to set yourselves on fire for God. I believe something along those lines. And prior to coming in and doing this lesson, and without our knowledge, he had covered his hand in some bug spray. And we watched as he told us to light ourselves on fire for God, and he dipped his hand into the flame. And his hand just took off. Now he quickly doused it in some water, fortunately, but there were some folks who were kind of taken aback by that. And I remember he got quite a bit of flack in teaching young people to do that. So I'm going to tell you right now, don't do that. Don't literally light your hand on fire like Greg did. But that image stuck with me because it was so shocking. But it was so powerful because the image conjures up this idea of fire, and we tend to think of fire as destructive. But when it comes to the fire of God, that light of God that burns within us, the only thing it's destructive toward is our sinful nature, those things that are not of God within us, that are burnt away, that are taken away from us in that fire. You know, James talks about a purifying fire of God, sort of like a silversmith in his day. And all that dross, that bad stuff, the impurities of silver rise to the top as it's heated over that intense fire heat. And then they can remove it, and they're left with a more pure silver. And that's the same idea of God's fire within us. But one of the things that Jesus talks about in Matthew 5, he says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 to 16, he says, "You are a city on a hill. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden, nor does a man light a candle and then hide it under a bushel. In the same way, let your deeds shine before others, so that they might see and glorify their Father in heaven." And I love that imagery of the fire, because there's nothing more calming and yet more powerful than fire. I've sat around plenty of campfires, and they can put me to sleep, quite honestly. And yet at the same time, that fire is dangerous. There's something uncontainable about a fire, and we've seen that in forest fires year after year after year all across the country and the world. The fire of God is uncontainable. When we allow ourselves to be lit on fire for God, we can't contain it. We shouldn't even try. When we read about the fire of the Holy Spirit coming to rest upon those early disciples in that upper room in Acts on that first Pentecost, there was no holding back. And on that day, Peter was able to preach to a multitude of individuals, and many, many lives were turned to the Lord. My hope and prayer each and every day now going forward is going to be that this fire would take hold of each and every one of you as you are watching this video. That as you come to know God through all these practices we've been exploring through the Walk series, that you yourselves will be lit on fire for God. And that fire would not be able to be contained, and that your life would be transformed. And as Paul says in Corinthians, that our old life has passed away and that new creation in Jesus Christ has come. And there's nothing that can stop that kind of life from taking hold in others' lives when we truly live it out. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you soon.